So these are my original handstand blocks. I've had these ones probably 5 to 6 years now. So these were from your Valon hands. So 2 different sizes. These are probably the most common sizes you'll see. Some people do use round blocks. I don't have any freestanding round blocks, but I do have round ones on my canes. So I actually prefer the smaller ones over the bigger ones. I can pull myself around a bit more on those, especially in the one arm. So holding the block, there's 2 main different ways of doing it. Is 2 fingers to the front or 3 fingers to the front. I prefer 2 fingers, but the biggest thing is making sure that you have the same grip on the left and the right hand. So if you're going to do 2 blocks, make sure it's 2 on the left and the right. I have seen some people do this. I'm not a fan of that because there's not much coverage of the palm on the block. So you want to get as much of the palm on the block as you can. And the way I teach it in a class is if you pick the block up like you're going to throw it. Okay, so these are the 2 sizes that I use the most. These are the ones from Yuval. He's still making these, I think, so you can contact him. I think he's actually doing a 3rd size now, something in the middle. Really like these blocks, used them for a long time. We in Perth also have had a local guy made us a load for Aspen. They're available if you're local and in Perth. Just give me a shout. The other thing I've done is I just got a length of wood and chopped them all off, and you can make a load of blocks. You know, if you want to make something like the handstand piano, that's the long stretch of them, or you want quite a few of them. It's a real cheap way of doing it. The downside of just getting off the shelf wood like this, I found with what I could get was this isn't quite thick enough. So when you're holding it, the finger touches the floor. So how I hold it, that's really annoying. Just make sure, however you do your blocks, just make sure it's a real smooth surface so it mates to another block and doesn't move, or the floor and then doesn't move around. I'm not a big fan. Some people put a rubber mat or carpet or something on the bottom of the blocks. I'm not a big fan of that because you can't slide the block. You have to pick it up and move it. It's maybe a little bit safer for beginners, but I'd prefer just to have that flat surface. Okay, so once you've got your blocks, it's just a case of learning to handstand on them. It's going to be very different for everyone. If you have a strong handstand already, you'll probably be able to get up after a couple of attempts. If not, they might take a while to get used to. I'd recommend, if you're still learning to handstand away from the wall, spend 95% of your time still on the floor. Do your normal holds, your shapes, your scissors. You could play around with presses and entries on the blocks. And then once you've done that, I would learn to handstand with 1 hand on the floor and 1 hand on the block. I wouldn't worry about too much how you do this. You know, you could bend the elbow that's on the block. You could tilt the body slightly, but just play around. Don't think about it too much. Just play around and learn to balance on it. Obviously on both sides, left and right. And then the next drill is, once you've done that, is just learning how to weight shift. So I'm going to weight shift to my left arm, and then I'm just going to slide that block out the way and come back down again. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the weight shifting and the one arm work. I'm just going to go through the block drills themselves. So there, I've just done the same thing on the other side, just move the block out of the way. And then the next level is to do the same thing, but now you start on the blocks. So I move it out of the way, go to fingertips, and then down to palm. Move the block out of the way, go to fingertips, go to palm, back down again. Most people will then move to walking down the block, so onto the floor, and then the next level is to fingertip, block back up again. Notice the block and the hands are staying in the same position. So wherever I handstand, I'm moving the block out the way, placing the hand back on the floor underneath the shoulder, move the block out the way, hand back down again. Instead of moving the hands wider or trying to walk around the block, I'm moving the block underneath me, fingertip, placing the block back into my normal handstand position. It's a bit tricky. It's going to take a while to get that, but that makes everything much easier and keeps your home position the same for the handstands. And then just repeat the same thing on both sides. So whichever order you do it, start with the right hand or start with the left hand. And then the other main block drill once you've got that one, or just have a play with as well. It's just a shift in, so you can do this with 3 blocks or more. So I'm just shifting side to side. So weight onto the left side, push over to the right. This really helps with the one arm work, so it increases the push. So when I want to push off my left arm, now I'm pushing, and then push with the right arm. So if you can do it with 3, 4, 5, or just have like a piano full of blocks and just keep walking to the side. This 3 block drill is really good because it forces you to go left, right, left, right. So that's it. Main thing is just to get some blocks, have a play with them. Once you do get used to them, it is easier to hold on them. I can hold much longer one arms, more consistent. I can kick up on my right side probably 100% of the time now on the blocks. So just be a little bit careful that you don't get carried away with them and use them all the time, but it is a good assistance exercise to the freestyle and handstand on the floor, and then play if you have canes as well. The ones we have at Aspen, like I say, the blocks are exactly the same that are on our canes, that are the freestanding blocks that we use. So that's good to, once you're used to the block on the floor, then you can start to elevate it and then eventually go up to the canes as well. Any questions, stick it in the comments below. Thumbs up, subscribe would be appreciated. And if there's anything else you want me to cover, let me know. Put it in the comments. See you next time.